Welcome back, gather around. Mr. K asking, have you ever played Connect the Dots? You know, when you make a cute cat like this where you start at 1, go to 2, 3, 4, however many numbers it may take, in this case 28, but you can make a cool dog or rabbit or fish. It's how we learn how to count when we're young. Later on, we plot points using the coordinate plane. Yes, that x-axis and y-axis. And there are two numbers to plot points, that x and the y. But remember, we've got to run before we jump. Now, before we get to the uses of points and coordinates in real life, please give me a big thumbs up, that big like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Now let's go to the board. So let's start with our address. As kids, we do learn our address early because, well, if we get lost, we need to tell the proper authorities how to get us home. And if we need to call 911 if there's an emergency, we can get the police, fire department, or an ambulance if necessary. Now next, GPS, global positioning systems. Now they're on our cell phones, and they can get us to the fastest route that we need to go to, knowing our starting point, our address, or wherever we're at, and going to our end destination. Now let's look at planes and latitude and longitude. Very similar to the XY axis that there are two numbers there. And let's take a look at the globe. And let's say we're starting in England. And say we're starting in London with our flight. And we travel, and that's at about 50 degrees north latitude and about 0 longitude. And we go all the way to New York. Now, I may not be pointing exactly to New York City, but that's a little south, about 40 degrees north and about 74 degrees longitude. So you're going to be gaining sunlight and you won't have that much jet lag when you get there. Let's go to war, the big one, right? Missiles. When we launch them and they have to go somewhere, believe me, they have a latitude and a longitude so that they hit their targets and destroy them. Now let's get to the math and show how we identify those coordinates on the XY axis and the coordinate plane. And we're even going to talk about the quadrants as well. So let's put it up here and draw them. All right. So here's our x-axis going horizontally from side to side, and I'll even put an X, as you can see. And I'll draw our y-axis, which goes vertically up and down. You can think about it like that. And I'll put a Y. Now, let's put the quadrants. Oh, that is a Y, folks, in case you're having trouble seeing. So this part, this whole area, would be quadrant 1. I'll put that up here, a 1, in a Roman numeral. This would be quadrant 2, 3 down here, and 4. So that's a way to remember it. Now let's put in some numbers here. At the origin, in the middle, it's 0. And let's put a 1. I'll put 1 here. 2, 3, and 4. And over here, remember going the other way, just like a number line, it would be -1, -2, -3, and -4. I know the numbers are small, but we're going to have to plot the points in there. And on the y-axis the same way. When we go up, it's +1, +2, 3, and we'll put a 4 at the top. And as we go down, well, that's negative. -1, that's a 1, folks, -1. -2, -3, and -4. I'll rewrite that one. And let's plot some points. So let's say we have a point here. We'll call it A. Well, what would the coordinates here be? Remember, we run before we jump, and that can be up or down. So we're over about 4, that looks right. And then, so we'll put a 4 here for our X number. Remember, coordinates are X, Y. And then we go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So this coordinate A is at 4, 4. And that's our coordinate. Our next one, let's put over here. It would be at, and we'll call this one B. And that point would be at, well, it's going this way now, -1, -2, so -2 is our X number. And up again, about 1, 2, 3, yes, 4. So that's -2, 4. Now let's put one down here. This point will be C. And this will be over once again about -1 and -2, and down, well, let's put -2 here. -2. And let's see how far down it goes. -1, -2, -3, -4. So it would be -2, -4. And that would be point C. And let's do another one over here. We'll call this one point D. And I'll rewrite that here and make it look a little nicer for you. And it goes over, remember we run 1, 2, 3, 4. So our X number is 4. And that's our comma. And we go down, well, -1, -2, -3, -4. Ah, so this is 4, -4. Now, let's have some fun. Let's connect the dots and see what this figure might be. So, A to B, to C, to D, and back to A. Well, is this a square or a rectangle? If it was a square, all the sides would be the same. So let's see if they are. Here we start at 4, and just to get back to 0, we're going 4. And then we're going an extra 5 and 6, because we're going 2 more. And remember, 4 minus, because we're going in the negative direction, -2, and negative times a negative is a positive, it actually ends up being 4 equals 4 plus 2 is 6. So this part is 6. I'll even write a 6 there. It's 6 long. Now let's go down. We start at 4. It's 4 just to get to 0. And then let's keep counting. 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is not a square, because the sides are not all the same. This is a rectangle. We have 2 sides that are 6 that are parallel to each other, and 2 sides that are 8 that are also parallel to each other. And they all are 90 degrees, which is the definition of a rectangle. So there you go. Now we're going to look at some points that are actually on the x-axis or the y-axis. So let's look at that. So we'll erase some of this, and we'll get right to the math. All right, here we go. So let's make a point right here at the origin, right there. What are the coordinates? Right there in the middle. Well, you don't go over it all, so it's 0. We put a comma, and we also don't go up and down. So the origin is 0, 0. Those are the coordinates for that point. Now let's go over, and I'm not going to put that as point A or point B now. I'm just going to put the point. Let's go over to this point. Well, what would that be? That point. Well, we go over, remember we run first, our x, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So let's put a negative 3 there, a negative 3, but we don't go up or down. So it's still at 0 on the y-axis. Notice I said y. It's x first, y second. Let's go up here to this point. Well, we start at the x and we're not running anywhere. We're stuck there. So we're at 0 for our x number. What about how we're jumping, how high we're going? Well, we go up 1, 2. So that point is 0, 2. And this is on the y-axis. I want to make this clear now. We're on the actual y-axis. And I want to make clear, too, that the 0, 0, well, that's the origin. But the negative 3, 0 is on the actual x-axis itself. That's important to know. It's not, these are not in quadrants. They're either on the x-axis or y-axis. Let's do one more. Let's look at this one down here. Well, once again, we're not going anywhere in the x-axis here. We're at 0. But we do go down. We jump down. 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So that's our point there. Now for the Challenge Club question of the day. And let's see if you can do it. So, I'm going to give you about 3 of them. Please put your answers below. And I'm going to start. First, I'm going to get rid of that dot there. We're going to start at this point, and I'm going to call that point A. And please fill in the x number and the y number. I'm going to put a point here, right there. And that will be point B, right there. And you put in your x and y number for the coordinates. And one more. Let's put it over here. And here we go. And we'll make that point C. And once again, fill in the coordinate. And remember, as always from the Tutor Club, see you soon.